Welcome to Wizland with Wiz. Happy to be with you guys today. It is officially episode 5, so definitely very grateful to be here today. Just because I've been feeling a little bit under the weather. I was kind of sick for the last kind of 2-3 days, but been able to take some medication, been able to work out, and I'm good now. Honestly, I had like a slight cold, and I just think it's because going from here in Houston is very hot. So going from the hot to the cold is and drinking cold, my body doesn't react too well to that change. But we were able to take some medications, and we are here, guys. So if you're new here, welcome to the podcast where we talk about things that are going on and things that we enjoyed. Things such as sports, things such as comic books, things such as pop culture, movies, horror, and anything that has to do with entertainment for the most part. That is what I enjoyed, and that is what I hope to do here. We also talk about self-development. Even though we might be an entertainment type of podcast, we are also trying to become better on a day-to-day basis. I'm trying to grow my own personal business that I've shared before. And I think I'm going to definitely get into that later in the conversation, because I do think it's important to not only just be so serious about work, but also to be able to have fun. And that's the main reason I'm doing this, because for the most part, 90% of my day, for the most part, is focused on work. And this 10% is what I'm actually allowing myself to entertain myself with sports, entertain myself with whatever might be going on in the social worlds, in the social webs. So it's definitely something that I am trying out, and I hope you guys can join the journey. So today is officially Monday, June 6th. And honestly, today, guys, it's been a good start to the week. I'm not even gonna lie, it's been a good week so far. For me, today's like I shared before, it is a Friday for me, just because that's the way I set up my whole week. My week does not start on Monday; it actually finishes on Monday, and it's intentionally done that way so I can actually leverage the fact that most people do work Monday to Friday. And I intentionally have kind of made my schedule a different way so I can actually do things my own way. I still work at 8 to 5, but I do believe that when you kind of intentionally do things, you have to kind of also you have to have the mentality to kind of set yourself up to how you're going to work, and be more efficient with your time and with your life. For me, I've worked at regular 8 to 5, and that did not work for me because I hated traffic. And if you're from somewhere like Houston, or you're from Los Angeles, LA, or you're from any city like New York City, you know that traffic. I mean, not so much in New York because you can use the subway, but when you in LA, maybe not in Atlanta, but all these different cities that have become very big with time. The highways are crazy, and more so when you work across the city. It might take you, when it naturally takes in a distance wise 20 minutes to go there or get there, it might take you an hour or two. It's just reality of what population is, and having said that, I mean, now that I'm gratefully working from home, a lot of things have changed. And I think that with this, with COVID, when this happened, honestly, I think a lot of us thought that it was going to be something deadly, which it was. I don't want to understand. I don't want to kind of underplay what's going on with COVID, because I think it is very important. And it was an eye opener for a lot of us. Some people, some family members of mine, and there's other people that I've known that actually were not able to fight it, and it's very sad. But it kind of also put a emphasis in different things in aspects of life, and I think that's the main thing, that for me, luckily, We was able to we got like myself and my family. We did get sick last year, and honestly, it wasn't a good experience at all. I was really down, and I'm pretty active. I go to the gym at least 5 times a week. I play soccer now, so it's just like I'm a pretty active person. I've always been a pretty active person, but it did beat me for a good 2 weeks, and I felt like shit. It's been the worst that I felt in a very long time. But it kind of made me understand and really kind of focus in the important things about life. It made me understand that we do not know how long we're going to be on this earth. So let's try to make it the best experience that we can make it. Because at the end of the day, all of us, if we have something in common, is that we all have our days numbered. Some of us might have longer days. Some of us might have shorter days. It's just reality of life. So it made me really understand about the importance about people around you, the importance of family, the importance of health. Because if you don't have health, then you're not able to do anything. I remember being sick, and even though at that moment I was going hard at the gym, I was focusing on drawing and things of that nature. Like when I did get sick with COVID, all of that stopped. It stopped abruptly because I did get sick. I couldn't do shit. I didn't want to move. I just wanted to sleep, and that's what it was, So having said that, what we're going to talk about today, and I know it's a little bit rough, a little bit of a rough start to the podcast, but trust me, guys, this is barely the 5th episode, and the intention with this podcast is for us to grow as a community, which I share. I believe in episode 2 or 3. I did share the whole intent that I have behind the podcast. I want to create a community of being able to grow as people, being able to attain our dreams, whatever they might be, our goals, and to just, at the end of the day, just be positive about life, man, because we do and we always will have problems, but that does not mean, I truly believe that as long as you have breath, as long as you have health, as long as you have at least one person in your corner, you're winning. If you're in the United States, we are winning. So I think that excuse about shit not being the way you want it to be, it's not gonna be that. It's not gonna be like that. Things are gonna be difficult, and we have to learn how to adjust with the times. We have to learn how to adjust as people, and I think that's our greatest strength, that we are able to kind of adapt. And it is on you. It is a decision that you have to make intentionally to see if it is something that you want to do, and I think it's just very much of a personal decision. Because even like things change, even the internet changed. We have now smartphones and all these things, and it took a lot. Like, it didn't just happen overnight. It took about 10 years for people to start adapting to these things. But the concept behind it is that we, as a society, for the most part, have adopted and have adapted to this new form of life, which is social media. Which is digital, which is technology based, and it might not be a good thing, but it's on you to decide if you're gonna focus on the bad things or you're gonna focus on the good things. It's on you to decide if you're gonna use the ability to use technology for your success and for your strength, or you're gonna be part of the cog, or part of the machine, where you're going to just consume content or consume technology without helping you in any sort of way. And there might be a debate that just by you knowing and having the access to it, you are using it for your advantage. But I truly believe that it is way more than just Googling it. Googling stuff is way more than just having facts on the tip of your hands. It's way more than just having information. But it's more so of a reality of you being able to do and create the things that you might have in your mind. As crazy as they might sound, it's on you to actually create that, and I think that's the main thing that I see from the internet as a whole. So, like we usually start. I usually start the podcast with, and I know we're about maybe 14. I don't even know how long we're in already, but I wanted to talk about the Golden State Warriors and the Boston Celtics. At the beginning of the playoffs, and you can go back and fact check me, I stated that the Golden State Warriors are going to win the championship. Reason being is because they've been a team. They've been a team for the last, I believe, the last 7 to 8 years they've been together. And they actually been to the last 6 finals when Klay Thompson played. So the last 6 years that Klay Thompson has played and being part of the Warriors, they've been to the playoffs and essentially been to the been to the playoffs, been to the finals, and win a couple of championships. This year, I stated that the fact that Klay Thompson was going to be back was going to be the X factor that not only emotionally got the team over the final, but was going to allow them to win the championship. Up to this point, Klay Thompson has not showed up, which is working perfectly for the greatest kind of setup. If you watch basketball, if you watch the last 2 games, you notice that it's been a game of hot streaks, and the fact is that there's been lapses in those 2 games where both teams got hot. It's just a matter of who can get harder than the other team. It's not much so about the defense. Even like yesterday's game, the Warriors just destroyed the Boston Celtics, but it's because they got hot. They got too hot. And one of the things in the common denominators that a lot of people know this already, like, that for the most part, when the Warriors are playing home, they're going to come at you with everything they have right after the half. They're going to come with everything they have. They get on these runs of 9 to 12 point runs, and they get hot. And usually that's when the game is lost or won by the other team. If you can withstand that hot streak in the third quarter, then you get a chance to win. And I think that the Boston Celtics were able to get hot in the fourth quarter, and that's the only reason they won that game. But they still, in the third quarter, they were losing. They were losing by 12 on the third quarter, going into the fourth, and they just got too hot on the fourth quarter. But the probability of that occurring on any other game is pretty much non-existent. What happened in the first game, to be honest with you, if you look at the stats, if you look at the streak of Boston, you notice that that's not their style of play. They're more of a defensive team. And at this point, they are honestly playing Golden State Warriors type of game. The more the series develops, the more you're seeing Stephen Curry actually becoming the it factor. And honestly, I do believe that the X factor, the person that's going to actually determine the series, is going to be Klay Thompson. Maybe he has not shown it the first 2 games, but trust me, if he would have played and maybe scored 20 points, he would have scored 20 to 25 points in the first game, the Golden State Warriors would have won that game. And also the second, I believe he only scored 7 points the last game. Obviously, they got blown out of the arena, the Celtics, but so he probably did not play. I started watching the game after the third quarter because I knew it was going to be a blowout. And it was done by the third quarter, to be honest. Like, I knew that they were not going to do what happened in the first game. It's just impossible for any team to get that hot in the fourth quarter, game after game. So going into Boston, I do think and do believe that the series is still going to be tied. It's going to be 2-2 once they come back in game 5, which usually that's what happens. Like in game 5, whoever is the winner in the game 5 is going to become the champion. But I do believe that Boston is going to be 2-2 by game 5. but the Warriors will win it in 6. Just because they're just that much of a better team. And I understand everybody was talking about how good Boston is and all those things. And Tatum actually played really well this past game. But the problem is not how hot Tatum, not how hot Brown is gonna get. They're gonna get their things. They're gonna have good games throughout the series. But how dependable is gonna be Horford? How dependable is gonna be White? How dependable is gonna be Smart? Smart is gonna do his thing on defense, but he's not gonna be able to score. I don't think he's gonna be able to score over 15 to 20 points 2 or 3 more games. I just don't believe so, because that's not his style of play. He focuses too much on the defense, and he's not that great of a shooter. He gets hot though. Like when he's on it, but he's a streaky shooter. So you cannot depend on him on a consistent basis on the offensive side of the ball. So Brown and Tatum, I do believe that they're going to be able to win another game. But that's going to be it, man. So overall, like I said, I'm going with the Warriors. I'm sticking with the Warriors. So we'll see. I mean, at the end of the day, it is what it is. I think that the Warriors are definitely a dynasty by this point. If they win this, it's going to be sealed. It's going to be a dynasty. And they might just win it again next year, to be honest. Just because they have a better team, and it's a team aspect. Like, they've really shown the league that it's not much so about your stars. Yeah, you can have stars, but it's more so about the team chemistry. It's how long they've been playing together. And trust me as being a coach, as a soccer coach, like, I've noticed that once you gel a team, you create a team, you have to work more so on their chemistry, more so on how they embrace each other, more so on how the team spirit is, and also how, as a team, they develop and get to know each other. And that's what the Golden State Warriors are. They've been able to adapt, and they be able to kind of sign players that are very good being role players. And they've been, like, Wiggins was like a badass acquisition. His talent was being wasted in the Wolves, and he's been able to stay very consistent and very helpful, and a very good player for the Warriors. So it's a different scheme, it's a different spirit, and I do believe that when you have players that want to play together, just like Draymond Green, like Klay Thompson, like Stephen Curry, they're not selfish. They don't really care about their stats. Then it's just natural. It's just natural for the team to embrace each other, because everybody is there for the same purpose, which is the purpose of winning the championship. So yeah, guys, definitely entertaining. An entertaining series. Nonetheless, I do feel that these two teams well deserved at the finals. I don't think that any of the two teams had it easy, because trust me, nobody thought the Warriors would make it to the final this year. Everybody was thinking about the Lakers, just because they had gotten Westbrook, and also because LeBron James and Davis. So everybody was counting on the Lakers, but the Lakers fell off at the middle of the season. And having said that, nobody really thought that the Warriors were going to be able to go past the Suns. And then again, the Suns didn't even make it to the finals. So those are things that sometimes you as a fan have to understand, that nothing is set in stone. And that's why I love sports, because nothing is set in stone. Even when you think that a team is going to win, the underdog always comes out of nowhere, or somebody with experience comes out of nowhere, and they just claim their spot there. So yeah, that's what's going on with the NBA Finals. Another thing, guys, I honestly, and we're gonna go segue to a different topic, which is podcasting, because I do feel you're listening to a podcast, or you're following my podcast. And I really am a big advocate of listening to podcasts, not only podcasts that are going to teach you things or podcasts about success, but also podcasts that will kind of make you feel a particular type of way. For me, lately, I've been kind of consuming the podcasts of comedians. I very much so have and this is one of the main reasons I started my podcast, because I started listening to Theo Bond's podcast called This Past Weekend, I believe. If you don't know who Theo Von is, he's a comedian. The dude is from New Orleans. The dude is hella funny. And I don't even know. Oh, yeah, I do know. So I was listening to a Joe Rogan podcast, and this is the cool thing about Joe Rogan, that he has so many different guests on his podcast. All these different people that sometimes you have never even heard of. And I had never heard of Theo Von, but their conversation was so ridiculous and funny that it made me look into who Theo Von was. So ever since then, and this has been a month straight where I've been consuming Theo Von's, and that kind of reminded me of other comedians. So it's crazy because I had no idea of this world of comedy, because I really don't listen to comedy. I have seen the stand-ups, like the classics like Cat Williams, like even Kevin Hart's, I like it, George Lopez, Fluffy, who else I've seen? Let's see. I have never seen Joe Rogan's stand-up, but I've seen. Let me see, who else I've seen? Cat Williams. I've seen Dave Chappelle. I've seen Kevin Hart. I've seen some of Chris Rock stuff. I've seen Chris Tucker, I think. That's his name, right? Like I said, guys, I'm not good with names. I'm just apologize if that's not the name. Let me see. I gotta Google the name based on the movie. So let's see. Yeah, it is right. I was right. So it's Chris Tucker. So I've seen Chris Tucker's stand up also on Netflix. And I finally, like I said, I found this Theo Von. The dude is funny. Watch his stand up. And it's pretty funny too, but I think that his style of speech, like how he talks and how he's able to kind of smoothly just have conversations with different people and kind of tell all these different stories, is very entertaining. And then he kind of introduced me and made me remember Bobby Lee. Bobby Lee, if you never heard of Bobby Lee or who Bobby Lee is, he's a GOAT. He's one of the GOATs in the comedy space that has actually been underground for a long time. I had totally forgot about him. Like, I listened to, not listened to it, but I watched Matt TB growing up. And I had totally forgot about that stage in my life where I would go into I believe it was back in the day, Channel 26. And they would put Matt TV almost every night. And I had totally forgotten about Bobby Lee. But now that he has the Tiger Belly podcast, it's another podcast that I cannot stop watching. I'm binge watching a lot of his episodes. So it's very much funny. So the reason I say this is because I truly believe that you have to be able to have different aspects in your life. If you're someone that is currently going through struggles, that is currently going through hardship, that is currently going through maybe lost, you have to find whatever triggers you or whatever makes you feel better, regardless of what that might be. And sometimes if you can't get that energy from the gym, if you can't get that energy even from the people around you, sometimes that's where you go online and look for positive things or people that also have gone through shit, that are actually trying to fight it and become better in life, because that is what life is about. You have to be able to because it's not going to be perfect all the time, but you have to be able to grow. You have to be able to learn. You have to be able to kind of find a way to get yourself out of that route. If you don't do it, no one will come to your life and rescue you from that. It is something that you have to deal as a person with, and I think those are the most difficult times in life. When we do get tested and we don't understand or we don't know how to deal with things. The things that I've found as I'm getting older, and honestly, this is like a new concept to my personal life, is that no one really understands or no one knows everything. Everyone is trying to learn every single day of their life. No one in this world knows. Nobody was born knowing how life works. And I think that when you're young, and that's one of the main things that I really like have been thinking about, because I have been able to kind of grow just by understanding this concept. Because this is a brand new concept to me. This I just heard that concept maybe a year or two ago. The first person I heard it from was Steve Jobs, saying when he stated that everything around you was just made by people just like you. They were no more special than who you are, or they didn't have any special powers. They were just regular people just like yourself and I. So that kind of made me think about things. It started me like it guided me in the right direction. And the more I find different things, and that's the crazy part, because these are comedians and they also talk about that, that you just learn how to do things, and that's the same common denominator in every field. There's the same field in sports, the same field in comedy, the same field in art. You just learn how to do things, how to become a parent. You're never raised to be a parent. But when you decide to have children, you have to learn how to become a parent. And the only way that you're going to learn is by being put into that position, and you're going to have to deal how to be a parent. So it's the same thing with everything, man. And I truly believe that when you're going through dark times, because I know that some of us have been through dark times, and I know if you're watching this and maybe you're going through something hard at this very moment, think about it, the fact that you're able to watch something like this, or you're able to do whatever the hell you want. Theoretically, you're able to do everything you want. You have the freedom to become free from your own thoughts. And I think that's a very powerful thought, that you are the one in control of your thoughts. Nobody's forcing you to think a particular way, even though you might think they are. No one is. Like, some people decide to be the product of their environment, and other people decide to see what the environment is giving them and decide to learn from it and change their own personal future. But you have to understand that the only way that is going to change is by yourself, your own actions, your own thoughts, your own practices. And I think that's the hardest part, when people expect other people to come in and change those things for you. When you start seeing certain things and thinking about certain things, nobody's going to change you. Nobody's going to do things for you. You might have some support, but 90% of the time, not to 95% of the time, you won't have any support, and you're going to be the one that has to push yourself to do things that you've never done before. And I think that as long as they're positive, as long as you have a mindset where you're trying to do things with a good intent, I think that life in itself opens up for you. You start seeing visions in a way that you start believing in yourself. You start seeing the world ahead of you. You start feeling better. You start kind of getting motivated behind your own actions. And I think that's what life is about, man. You have to understand that life will always be a journey. So regardless where you're at, it doesn't matter how bad you might have it. Example, today I was watching, I was going through the videos that I have from 4 years ago, 2018. At that very moment, I had only $250, and I was in so much debt. I'm still in debt, but I was in so much worse debt. I had so many bad habits. So I used to have so many bad habits, right? I used to lie to people. I used to lie to myself. I used to make blank promises, and break promises, meaning that in my head, I would want to do something for someone, but I would never do it because I didn't think it was important if I didn't do it. I would just overthink about it, or overthink about certain things as well. So I had all these different habits, right? And I was looking at this video today while I was searching for certain things in my computer about content. And I found a video that stated that I finally, from 2017 to 2018, I was able to have I was able to have $2,400 finally. And I remember that at that moment, I was very proud of myself. Why? Because the year before, I only had $250. And those $250 were $250 that I needed to pay, and that was going to put me in the negative. So I only had $250 that once I made that payment, I was negative $25. And I remember that the reason I started kind of recording and I started writing things down was because I was tired of my life at that particular moment. I was very tired because I would have a job. I had a job at that time. At that time, I was living with one of my past girlfriends, and honestly, at that very moment, I did think that everything was gonna work out, and I was gonna figure it out. And I started figuring it out, but my habits were not the best because I was still lying to myself, and I was not being real with myself, and I was not giving the time of day to myself to develop and to learn and to become a better human being, not only in the financial aspect, but also with my morals, with my values and things of that nature. So as time has passed since 2018 to 2022, I do see that I'm no longer that guy that is only focused in obviously making money. I know now that when I do say something, I have to follow through it, because it is something that I've learned that the more you do things, the more you say things, the more you do the things you say, the more power your word and your own promises to yourself become stronger. The more that other people start seeing what you're doing, the more that other people starting to trust what you're doing and trust you as a human being. Before that, I didn't think about things like that. My first thought process was, I don't give a fuck what people think about me, and I still don't. But you do have to think and care a little when you're not doing the things correctly, when you don't have value in your word, when people don't trust you, when people think badly about you, then you might have to care about because you have to start caring a little bit about it, because at the end of the day, if people have something bad to say about you, it might be true, and if you want to be an asshole, that's a different story. But if you want to try to become better, but you still have not put value in your name and things of that nature, it's going to take time. And I think the only way that you're going to be able to get to that point where people really talk well about you without you being there, which I think that should be the goal. Like, you want people to talk the best about you without you being in the room. If you can get to that point, I think you're going to have an amazing life. And that's what I'm trying to work to. That's why I'm trying to become. I'm trying to get to that point where I might not be around, but at least you can say that guy right there is an honest man, is someone that actually follows through with what they say, and that's the goal of my personal life. So today, guys, I know we didn't get much into like the social stuff and what might be going on other than just the sports stuff. But I will have another podcast coming out this week. I will go ahead and create it tomorrow. And definitely we'll talk about things that I want to talk about, because there's something I'm doing that I think is a very good example of how you can kind of get to know yourself a little bit better. Meaning, like, I am currently, like, I literally open out a Photoshop document, and I literally allow myself to really think about the things that I enjoy, such as movies, such as sports, such as current fictional characters, things that I like as far as food, things that I like as far as aesthetics, and how things look, cars, brands, to kind of understand what I like, and how can I learn from all these things that I like and match it to the things that I do now. Because I actually heard that from another interview that I heard yesterday that I listened to. It wasn't the first time I listened to it. And it wasn't the first time I heard that concept, because I kind of have done it halfway before. But yesterday I decided to just take the time and actually sit down and really think about everything. And in the future podcast, I'm going to literally show it. how I did this, like I'm gonna go ahead and show it, and so you can kind of understand what I'm saying. I think it's a little bit easier when you have someone actually visualizing certain things, and it's more so like, I don't want to say a vision board. In the future, we'll go ahead and create a vision board together, but I'm talking more so about a board of self-reflection, a board about the things that you have already in your head, and how to kind of decipher whatever it is that you have in your head, putting it on a paper, putting it on a document, and really understanding what that means, because sometimes we want to do all these things, and sometimes we think that we might not be able to do certain things just because there's so much there's so much content out there, there's so much things out there that we might feel that we're not going to be able to kind of like bring our own like kind of insight into it. But I think that things become a much easier when you start understanding that certain things in your head are not in somebody else's head. The fact that I can mix soccer, that I can mix basketball, that I can mix football, that I can mix anime, that I can mix horror, that I can mix rap, that I can mix rock, that I can mix Spanish music. The fact that I can mix Spanish, that's a cultural thing as well. I have so much things to me that I enjoy. The fact that I like cyberpunk, the fact that I'm into wrestling, the fact that I'm into like some particular video games, that the fact that I'm into all these different things is basically what I have in my head. The fact that I'm a Raiders fan does things in my head, but nobody is the same copy of who I am, and that's what you have to understand. And I think the exercise that I did is very helpful, and I want to share it because I do feel that that's gonna bring a lot of value to whoever listens to the podcast, and if you're also might be going through certain issues, you're gonna learn how to do that. And I found it very helpful because now, even though I know that's not precisely it, that's not gonna be the it document forever. I'm gonna continue to add onto it, because obviously with movies that I watch, with content that I watch, with certain things, I am also adding into the things that I like, into the things that kind of define who I am. The more that I read, the more that I do certain things, the more I'm expanding my interests. But that doesn't mean that the things that I've encountered in the past are not still in my brain. I just have to stop and think about them. And that's what this exercise is going to be about. So yeah, guys, if you like today's podcast, come on, man. I don't ask for nothing other than come back, tell a friend, and we're going to keep going, man. I think at the end of the day, it's pretty hard to kind of like, I guess, see the growth in YouTube, because I'm seeing, it's crazy because I actually posted this certain episodes on a podcast format, only on audio, and I already see way more listens and downloads on there compared to YouTube. So if you're new here, please tell somebody else. If you found some value, please tell someone else. I promise you, my promise to you guys is to bring the best content that I can bring to you guys and to keep getting better. I know that I stumble a lot with my words. I know all this shit, right? It's very rough around the edges. And I might stay like that, but trust me, I am trying to work to get better, because you got to do the work when the cameras are off, man. And that's what I'm doing. I'm putting in the time doing the research on how to storytell better, how to write, how to do all these different things. So I am confident that I will get there, So yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's podcast, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.